All right. We are back. This is episode 2 of the I Disagree podcast. I am one of two hosts, Chris Warner, Kid here. Scott,
Tyler Hoover, you ready to get into it, man?
I'm definitely ready to get into it, man. Have you been enjoying some of these basketball games throughout the week or what?
It has been a fun week, man.
Listen, man, records being broke, some great games, a lot of rumors. Man, it's just a lot to talk about this week, man. I'm super excited. What do you want to get into first?
Okay, we got to start with the trade rumors, man. We're getting up to All-Star breaks on its way. It's going to be here before we know it. So that means all the trade rumors are going to go. So let's jump right into it and start off with we got to start with my boy, my favorite player of all time, Derrick Rose.
I did see a couple of Derrick Rose options, so I'll let you start it off. That's your guy here.
All right. So I've seen a few different options right now. Biggest one being the Clippers. And for me personally, that's the one I want to see. I want to see my boy get a ring so bad. He ain't gonna win no Finals MVP anymore, but just to see him actually compete for a ring after all these years would be great to see. But I'm not. I don't think it's gonna happen. Just because
No.
what I've been seeing is a lot of Derrick Rose for Lou Will and Clippers throwing in like a second round pick. I don't. To me, I don't think he can do it. I know Lou's getting old. He's getting up there, and he hasn't been having a great season. And you can still get a lot from Derrick Rose, but I mean, there's a reason why they're going to rename the Six Man of the Year award out of him. The dude, he can go get buckets.
He can definitely ball out. I don't know if they're gonna give him up, but I mean, you don't want to see a man Derrick Rose go to the Knicks, man. You don't want to see that. The number one defensive team in the league right now, back with his old coach Tibb. That's not in your repertoire. What's going on, man?
I got a lot of love for Tibbs. Please, Tibbs, leave the Bulls players alone. He's got, was it Taj on the Knicks now?
hmm
Back with Minnesota, he went after Jimmy, got Derek, had Taj, and had Boozer. He's just trying to recreate those early 2010 Bulls teams. It's time to move on, Tibbs.
They were close to championship winning teams right there, man. They were conference winning, so I mean, it's not a bad mix up and not a bad team to bring back. I think that they're a little older in age, which is going to be a more difficult because you got teams that just move really fast right now. You got young squads like the Sacramento Kings and some other squads that they just move, man, with that ball in their hand, they just going. So that is one of the biggest one. I think the biggest trade rumor, I'm gonna be honest with you, I think is Bradley Beal. And all depending upon where Bradley Beal goes, I think is gonna make the biggest difference. So I've seen some interest in Miami, Lakers, the Clippers. Supposedly he's interested in going with the Philadelphia 76ers as of right now. I heard that's like a possible move for him and something that he's most interested in. So I'm interested in seeing him go to any of those teams, but I think Philly would probably capitalize most of it out of all of those, to be honest with you. Maybe Miami.
I think Philly would capitalize the most because him with Embiid, that could be a scary thought. But everything I've seen in regards to that trade is going to include Ben Simmons. And for me personally, I'm not giving up Ben Simmons. He is too good of an all around player. Offensively, he can still go out there and get you 15, 20 points. Yeah, he's not shooting threes, but he's been very efficient. He rebounds like no one else because he's 6'8",
Mhm.
and he's one of the best defenders in the league, especially for a guard. So all that he brings, and with all the shooters that Philly has right now, I don't know if they do the trade. I think Bill would love it because you get to play with all those shooters and Embiid, who wouldn't. But I just I don't really know where I see a fit with him. And what's really kind of been weird is it reminds me of the Chris Paul when he was trying to get out from New Orleans.
Mm.
It was all done behind the scenes. There was nothing brought to the attention, and all we're hearing now is he hasn't demanded a trade. He just wants to win, which I respect that.
Can't
I
be mad at
respect
that.
that he, puts his boots on and goes to work and tries his best. So hopefully there's a lot behind the scenes because I mean even a lot of Wizards fan right now are trying to get him free. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think where I would really like him.
I'm only mad at Miami. Miami's not a bad option for him. It's not a bad look. I mean, I think that he'd actually benefit from that as well. Cause like the dog, yeah, like it's funny. I heard the dogs barking, but the dog in him, like that would bring that out of him. Like honestly, I think he'd play better defense. He'd capitalize off of the opportunity simply because he'd be in a system where he's forced to play defense and maybe get a little bit out of his comfort zone, and that'll bring out a different game in him. And I think he'll capitalize off that.
what would you give up if you're Miami?
That's
What
a
do you
good
think can get it
question.
done?
You got to get up like a. You're gonna have to give up like a Tyler Hero, and you're gonna have to give up. What's the other young kid's name? There's the other young one, the other young shooter over there.
Are you talking about Robinson?
No, not Robert. Is it Robertson? No, 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 no. The other. What's his name? It's Tyler Hero.
Duncan Robinson, or
Duncan.
Duncan
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Robinson, Tyler
Yep.
Hero, and
Yeah.
something Nunn, or the three young ones from last year.
Yeah, I
But
don't think they're gonna have to give up none, but I think they're gonna have to give up Robinson and they're gonna have to give up Tyler Hero for him as well. And probably a draft pick. Cause
so,
yeah, yeah, Bradley Mill is not he's not gonna be you're not just gonna get him for pennies on a dollar.
so unfortunately, to make that go through, you're going to need to give up Bam, and that's where, because it's probably going to be Bam and what I say was Bam, Tyler Hero,
Mm-hmm.
and a few other the contracts just to make the money work because Bill's getting paid.
It's true. That is true.
So that I don't know with him. Miami, I just they've been they've been hurt a lot this year. Jimmy Butler's only played 8 games,
Mm-hmm.
so they're not doing well. I want to see Beal go and actually compete because I want to see what he's like in the playoffs again.
Me
It's
too.
been a while since we've seen him and the Wizards actually competing for anything in the Eastern Conference. I mean, what it was 4 years ago they were third and fourth in the Eastern Conference. So I want to see what he can do again because he's really stepped up since John Wall's gone out. But another guy who's on the trade market right now is one of your guys, Lonzo
Who's
Ball.
that?
Lonzo
Yeah, yeah,
Ball.
yeah, yeah. I did see that, man. Chicago Bulls are actually interested in him, as I saw. I don't know if that was correct or not, but I see that the Chicago Bulls are interested in picking him up, man. Do you think that'll be a good look for your team?
So there's two teams that I saw pretty interested in him right now, despite Steve Kerr coming out and denying it. We've all heard coaches deny trade rumors 3 days or a day or an hour before they happen. So can't really take that with a grain of salt. But the ones I've seen with the Warriors, they want
Mm,
Ball, or I've heard things with JJ. And the big piece of that is Kelly Oubre Jr.
mm,
And in the one that I saw, I forget who reported it, was out a couple days ago. It was Kelly Oubre Jr. for Lonzo Ball and a second round pick, which I don't know why you had to throw a second round pick in there to get Kelly Oubre Jr., but I mean, they're both kind of struggling. And I like that fit more just because of neither one of them are really shooting great. And Lonzo is much better in a fast paced offense. And that's just not what the Pelicans are doing. Stan Van Gundy is slowing it down, and it's just not look good. Now, to answer your original question, and I'll let you get your thoughts on the Warriors. For the Bulls ones, I haven't seen much, and no one really knows exactly what they're asking for Lonzo. So I did my own little trade, put it in the trade finder. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
mm-hmm.
So Lonzo Ball for either Tomas Satoransky and a 2023 top 10 projected first round pick, or which
Mm-hmm.
that one I don't see as much being realistic because they want to get rid of Lonzo because they're guard heavy. So that could be an option though. Or the other one that I saw that kind of worked was Felicio and oh god, I'm drawing a blank here on our one small forward. Um, one second here to pull it up here because I'm having a brain fart.
Oh, you good? You good? Speaking of JJ Redick, not to get off topic, but I did see that the Lakers were actually interested in trying to get him in a trade, and I was like, that'll be a good pickup for us because shooters around AD and LeBron James is always a good thing. We could always use more shooters. I feel like we have a lot of people that can facilitate and get inside as far as getting a bucket, but when it comes to shooters, we are kind of limited there. So I feel like that would be a good pickup for us. JJ Redick would be a good option if that is something that can come about. But go ahead. I'm interested in hearing that trade. That you
No,
was talking
it was Daniel Gafford,
about.
the
Okay.
young small forward that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Been playing well right now. The Pels only have one actual small forward on the roster, which is Brandon Ingram. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously we throw some picks that way, but as a Bulls fan, I don't really want Zoe.
No.
I don't. I I like Colby White.
Mm-hmm.
I like him starting, but I see why a lot of people would rather have him come back off the bench because right now, if you believe in plus minus, he does have a negative rating when he's on the court.
Mm.
And what the Bulls lack is defense. And Lonzo is a good defender. You put him in a fast-paced offense, which the Bulls can run with Zach Levine, with Larry Marketing. I think it could be a good fit,
Okay.
but only time will tell.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good fit for you guys. I feel like I feel like you, as far as the Bulls, you guys just need a number one go to. I feel like Zach Levine being the number one guy is not going to get it done for you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think he's more like a number two option. So if you guys were able to get a number one option, it would be a lot better. I wouldn't actually mind seeing, which is probably never going to happen, probably won't happen, but I feel like Bradley Beal for you guys would be a good option because you can have Zach Levine run the one, you can have Bradley Beal run the two, and you can kind of play off that. That 1-2 combo will be really good. I mean, it's never going to probably happen, but that's not a bad option. So what I'm saying is, you guys need somebody that can just, it's a great scorer, but can also play some defense and get back. And you guys will be in a better position. The good thing about the East Coast is it's a little bit easier to get into the, as far as the just a playoff conference than it is to get in the West Coast. I feel like.
No, I agree. West is still. I mean, it's been like that for what, over a decade now,
Mhm.
where the West has just been more tough. And no, I agree. I think Zach Levine, as much as I love him as a Bull, and I wanted him over Wiggins when the original trade happened,
Mm,
he's a number two option. Like you said, he's a great scorer. I mean, I give him credit. He's developed his game. He's able to be more than just that high fly dunker. He can hit the three. He's gotten
yep,
more and more efficient each year, and
pretty clutch too.
he should be an all star. I think he should be an all star this year, but only time will tell. But he's not. He's not a number one option. And if we can get someone like a Bradley Beal, like I said, don't see it happen. We'll never. I don't think we should trade for him, but you can get someone like that in free agency, then yeah, it'd be much better. But
Mm.
so, what do you think of the Warriors pick or Warriors options there with trading for either a Beal or a Ball or a JJ and using Kelly Oubre as that centerpiece?
I don't even see why you would, if you were the Washington Wizards, why would you trade for Kelly Oubre for Bradley Beal? For me, that wouldn't make much sense. You have to give me a couple of pieces. Like, you're gonna have to give me Oubre. I'm gonna need a pick, and I'm definitely gonna need another player because you got to make it worth it for me. So I mean, you might have to add somebody else in there. I don't know who else you would. I don't know who else on the trading block and what those contracts look like. But yeah, just for those two players matched out, it wouldn't work out for the Wizards' favor. But if Bradley Beal was on the Wizards, man, you better watch out. I'm on the
On the
Warriors.
Warriors?
I said the Wizards. I meant the Warriors. You know what I meant though. If he was on the Warriors, you better watch out, man, because him and Steph Curry on the same team together, man, two shooters like that, they're a threat. They're a problem, man. And then you got Wiggins stepping it up now. He's actually looking like a pretty good shooter, stepping up, getting a percentage up there. So yeah, that would be a great option to pick up
So
as far as the Warriors side.
what do you think about them going after Ball or JJ?
I think JJ will be because the game right now is shooter field. If you want to have any kind of contention or a chance of that being a contender in the NBA right now, you're gonna have to have shooters with the game being a lot more fast paced, is able to make you score more points. And now gives you more possessions. And a lot of teams are using those possessions to score 3 pointers rather than go to the basket. So if you can't go shot for shot with a team right now, chances are it's going to be hard to beat them, which is why you can see a team like the New Jersey Nets, who aren't the best defensive team, but shot for shot, they can go with you, if that makes sense. Like, you got three pretty great shooters on the court, and Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. And if you can't go shot for shot with them, it doesn't matter how good of a defense. If you can't stop what they're doing, then what? It doesn't matter. They don't have to have great defense because they're gonna chuck up three, and they probably gonna make every one of those three. Now, can you match with that? That makes sense. So for them, as far as the Warriors, I think JJ Redick would be a good option for them. Lonzo, I don't know, because I feel like he would need to have the ball in his hands a lot. And I don't know how that's going to work for like the chemistry and just the rotation as far as moving it around, ball moving wise. He might have to have his hands on the ball a little too much to create on a team like the Warriors. So I don't know if I like that option. But JJ Redick would be a good pickup for the Warriors, I think.
No, I agree. I don't really care for the Kelly Oubre for the Lonzo Ball trade. I just, like you said, Lonzo needs the ball in his hands, and Curry really doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer it because when Curry does have the ball in his hands, same with Draymond. Kelly Oubre can actually still hit a three. Yes, he's had up and down year, very early on down with shooting, but what he brings offensively, same with Lonzo, and then just the ability to go attack. Kelly Oubre will attack the paint and he will attack the rim, whereas Lonzo will not. And I'm just, I don't know. I'm not seeing the upside for trading for Ball. Correct me in the
I'm not
comments if
seeing
I'm
it.
wrong. Tell me
Yeah,
what you
I'm not. I'm
think.
not. Yeah, I'm
But
not seeing it either, man. We on the same page on that one. I did get some not flack, but I did get a somebody who commented. They were like, for the show to be called "I Disagree," you guys pretty much just agree on a lot of topics. And I said to myself, well, my boy Tyler here, man, he's coming to his senses. He's agreeing with me. What can I say if he's agreeing with everything I say? I mean, if I'm right, I'm right.
Mhm.
I
All
was
right.
waiting
No,
for you to
it's
say something slick too.
that's the thing. We just got to get into something we can debate.
Yeah.
So let's take a step back here
Hmm.
because I'll admit you're right about the JJ Redick thing too. Last thing we'll say on that topic before we move on, but uh, next year Clay's coming back. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt again. Knock on
Hmm.
wood. What are you gonna do with Lonzo? Flip him. Whereas JJ, even though he's getting
Yep.
older, you can still keep him on the bench. You can still use him for another punch off the bench. I like going for JJ. Warriors make it happen. Pelicans are trying to sell every point guard they have, so go get a shooter.
Man,
But
Lakers make it happen. I want to see him on the Lakers, but that's a story for a different day. I want to see JJ go to the Lakers, but
you want to see everyone go to the Lakers. It's going to help you guys win. You guys have enough
mm,
talent on there.
I mean, we got some
More than
pretty
enough
good
talent.
pieces, but we'll see. We'll see. It's still early in the season.
LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Do you really need more?
Yeah, yeah. You can't just have two players. What if one of them get COVID?
They won the championship last year.
We did. We did win the championship last year.
Lakers, right? With Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
They were healthy, but AD almost went down for a moment. So my point is, it just takes one slip up, man. It takes one injury, one nick, one knack for the ties to turn. You know what I mean? So you got to have those pieces. You can't just and to be honest with you, Anthony Davis has not been 100% Anthony Davis this season so far. I'm looking for him to do a little bit more. Like he's just not giving me those Anthony Davis numbers I'm used to seeing, like those, potentially MVP numbers. So that's what I'm waiting for. But I think that's going to come as the season gets on. Right now, I feel like he's still trying to figure it out. It was a short off season, probably. Trying to get back in shape, find his rhythm there. I'm not mad. We got a long season to go.
No, I think you're right on that one. Anthony Davis has kind of surprised me with I. If one of those two is going to have a letdown and start the season, I definitely thought it would be LeBron.
What? King
Just
James?
short off season. The man is 36.
True.
Like he is not a. I mean, I get it. He spends all the money in the world on his body, and it works. And he's one of the goats. But I could have seen him putting the foot or taking his foot off the gas more than Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis does a lot more on the defensive end. LeBron picks and chooses when he wants
At
to
this
play
point, yep.
defense. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
that got a toll. But let's take a step back here because you mentioned the Brooklyn Nets,
Yep.
and you mentioned going shot for shot with them.
Yep.
So do you think that their defense being as god awful as it's been right now is actually going to keep them out of the Eastern Conference Finals or winning a championship?
That's a good question. I do want to make one point. I want to come back to this point later on. The Houston Rockets are playing incredible defense right now without James Harden. We're going to come back to that later. So the question was, will that keep them out of the Eastern Conference Finals? I think it all depends. It depends on a couple of different things. What kind of moves I made in between now and then? You know what I mean? Like what teams pick up who, the injuries, and the circumstances. I think that the Nets have capability to make the Eastern Conference Finals to get there to battle for the championship, but it all depends on a couple of moves that they make. I think they just signed Iman Shumpert, if I'm not mistaken, or they're looking to sign him. That's a good defensive move right there. So that gives them a little more defense as far as like perimeter wise. I think they just need another inside force. If they can find another big man for cheap that they can get just to come off the bench when DeAndre Jordan is, getting his rest in, I think that that could be a definitely possible for him. I think them trading Allen hurt them a lot. I'm gonna be honest with you. I hurt him a
It really
lot.
did. And I don't know if we're looking at everything in a perfect bubble where COVID goes away, nobody gets hurt, and everyone's playing at the top of their game. I don't see them getting past Philly. I don't see them getting past Boston.
So you got Philly and Boston. You don't even have Milwaukee in there.
I don't. I don't have Milwaukee in
Mm.
there. I've gotten on that Giannis train so many times, and it goes to the playoffs, and I start watching the game, and I just don't know what I'm looking at anymore.
Damn.
It it's not Giannis. I just don't. The score or the 3 point shooting that the team has been doing well at goes away. So
Mm.
I don't I don't see them really being a threat. I think right now it is Brooklyn, Boston, and Philly. And,
Mm.
my opinion can change in 15, 20
Yeah,
minutes
for
a
sure.
day.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
mean, because there's so many teams. Yeah.
unless Brooklyn does make some good signings, I know I like the rumors of Cavs buying out Drummond's contract and
I
then you
heard
putting
that.
him in as a starting center.
You see that what I'm saying? That then
But I
that
don't.
changes everything for the Nets at that point if you do that. But right now, that's what you're saying. Like, what do they see right now? I don't see them right now. If they have the team, if they keep the team they have right now, and tomorrow was the playoffs, no, I don't see them. I don't see them being able to get out of the Eastern Conference because, like you said, I do. Boston is one of those teams, and Philly as well. I think Boston is that team, though. I think Boston's going to be that team that come out of like that's going to be the team to beat in the East. To be personally honest, this year, I think that's going to be as long as they can stay healthy. I'm gonna say that. As long as they can stay healthy, because Kimba has to stay healthy. If Kimba don't stay healthy, it's gonna be rough.
Boston also kind of worries me just with their size on the inside.
Mm.
Without having that big presence, and Tice is just he's
I
gonna
like
get
Wiseman.
what's up.
I like Wiseman. I'm just saying, I like Wiseman. He's a big body.
So Boston ain't getting Wiseman.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking. I'm sorry. I totally forgot. I'm sorry. I'm thinking wrong. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I thought you were going to reference the game last night. That's why I was like, Wiseman didn't play. But
Never mind.
no, it's just one of those things. We watched it with Joel Embiid. He
Mm-hmm.
dominated them. We saw it when the Lakers played Boston the other night.
Yep.
They cannot keep people out of the paint. And
True.
granted, Boston should have actually won. And I want to give a lot of credit to Caruso because that man, for
Oh man.
somebody that a couple years ago, outside of Laker Nation, was a meme. It was this bald guy running around that just looked like a chicken with his head cut off. Every big play, he's somewhere there.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was in front of, he's the one that hustled out and got in front of Jalen Brown to stop the walk-off dunk. In the Philly game when they were making the comeback, he had a couple big rebounds, a couple big defensive plays down the stretch.
He definitely did.
Big three. The, the guy just gives it 130% all the time, and it's impressive to watch. But
That it is.
that's neither here nor there. I just unless I think whoever can get that big man inside between Boston and Nets, I think is going to be the true contender to Philly. Right
Mm.
now, Embiid's on a mission, and
He
I'm not
is.
sure I see anyone stopping him.
Mm. I see
It's
Miles Turner saying that he wants to battle him for no, I think it was Giannis said he wants to battle Giannis for defensive player of the year. I'm interested to see how that turns. Like I know we were having this conversation, and that was one of the things we wanted to talk about. Do you feel like defense still wins games in 2021 in this game of basketball?
games during the regular season or playoffs.
A little bit of both. Like, what do you feel as far as like how much defense impacts the game today?
Regular season, it's much harder to play defense. Um, Faster pace, faster shot clock, team switch everything, a lot more longer rebounds. It it just doesn't seem as much of a factor. I mean, every year scores are getting higher and higher and higher. We're long from the days of the average game is 84 to 93. I mean, when somebody put up a 40-point game, it was ridiculous because with hand checking and just how the game was played and slowed down, and obviously all the threes being taken, it wasn't like that. But at the same time, every bloody player right now can shoot from outside the gym. So in the regular season, I don't think defense really matters. Obviously, you're going to have games like with the Nets where they lose to Detroit and then Cleveland twice and the Wizards. So some pretty bad teams. But when it comes to actually winning a chip and getting to where you need to be, defense is still everything. And I have a stat to back that up here.
I like it. I like he come with the stats. I like it. I mean, I'm just gonna get my opinion really quick. I think that I have to agree with you on that part as far as the regular season opposed to the playoffs. I think that that's when the defense and the grind really comes about in that playoff mode because a lot of teams are watching tape, they're seeing what your tendencies are. Players like LeBron James, like a Rajon Rondo, players like that study the game really and sit down and watch tape every single day. They're learning your tendencies. So that's when the defense really comes about. As far as the regular season though, yeah, like you said, the games are so high scored. I don't even know if they really play that much defense. And I feel like you can only exhaust so much on the offensive and defensive end. So if you're going out every single day and you're playing your hardest on defense, how much can you possibly contribute offensively? If that makes sense, you know what I mean. So,
It does, and I think you're right. One of 82 is a lot different mindset than first to seven.
mhm.
And if you look at now, one caveat: I don't have the numbers for last year's Lakers team in the bubble. But that being said, um, in the last about 10 to 15 years, do you know what the last team that won the title without being top 15 in defensive rating? You know how many times they won the chip?
Repeat that again. 'Cause I just want to make sure I understand your question.
In the
You,
last about like 15 years.
uh huh.
Probably should have been a little longer. Since the year 2000.
Got you.
How many
Okay.
teams have won the chip while being below top 15 in defensive rating?
I'll maybe say like two, maybe two teams.
One.
Mm.
It was the '01 Lakers were the only team that were outside the top 15.
Oh wow, I didn't even know
The
that.
only team to be outside the top 10 besides them was the 2018 Golden State Warriors, who were 11,
Mm.
and the Cavs had 10, and Miami had 10th at one point. The rest of them have
That's what I
always
was
been in the
thinking. I
top
was thinking
10.
Miami Heat. That's how I was thinking. That was like one of the teams that was out of the top 15 at one point. Well, okay, cool. I didn't know that. The Lakers, oh one. I'm surprised because Shaq is such a juggernaut.
Yeah, that one kind of surprised me as well. Now, in the year before that, they were the number one, or yes,
Mm.
number one defensive. So that 2000 team they won was
Okay.
the number one defensive
Hmm.
team in the league that year. But
Okay.
and you look up through, it's 1, 22, 7, 3, 2, 1, 10, 2, 1, 6, and kind of keeping that pattern. So at the end of the day, defense still does matter. And if you're not at least top 10 in defensive rating, you're probably not going to win. And that's
Mm.
my biggest drawback to the Nets because I mean, look at the Rockets the last couple of years. They had the Warriors dead to right when now granted Chris Paul did get injured, but they had one of the worst shooting performances of all time from three and blew that. Very next year, KD got hurt. Same thing. They just couldn't close the deal, and the Warriors beat them in what I think it was six that year.
Mm-hmm.
So you can. It doesn't matter how well you shoot if you can't stop nobody. And I mean, look at the Wizards. They're putting up what 130 points a night almost every night,
That's crazy.
and they're still getting dominated. So
Mm.
you need to be able to you got to be able to guard somebody.
I'm not mad at it, man. I just want to say shout out to the Houston Rockets, man, on a 6 game winning streak. I know they were playing today. I was just watching the game. They were losing when I was watching earlier, but they playing some outstanding defense, man, and they actually winning a lot of games. They're looking good. Boogie's looking good. He's looking healthy. I know John Wall didn't play tonight when I was watching the game. You know, he's coming off that injury, still trying to recover. Totally
Mhm.
respected, but they look good, man. They look like a really good team.
They're the comeback kids. I mean, you got John Wall coming off injury,
Yeah.
Boogie's coming off injury, Victor Oladipo is coming off
Yeah.
injury. I mean, they got good players, and Christian Wood is having a phenomenal breakout season.
Mhm.
So right now, as it sits, they're currently the eighth seed. Do you think they make the playoffs?
Oh man, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't know. I don't. It's gonna be a rough one. I think I'm gonna say no, only because there's so many really good teams in the West that they have to continue to have this streak. They're gonna have to have 6 game win streaks throughout the entire season and stay consistent to be able to win games. And I think that the the injury prone of them is so unpredictable. I don't want to say yes, and then 2 out of the 3 get injured, and then they're down, losing a couple of games. Knock on wood. I don't want to see that happen, of course, but you just never know in the course of a season how things may go. So if they can stay healthy, I would say they got a 50-50 chance. If somebody gets hurt, they have less than 30% chance, I feel like, to even make it. So I'm gonna go. If I was a gambling man and we were betting today, I would say no. I'll be honest with you.
This is a hard one for me
I
because
mean, a really hard one.
about
Good one.
12 o'clock today, they were the eighth seed. As you said, they were playing earlier before we started recording.
Yeah.
Spoiler, they lost.
Yeah, they were losing when I was watching it. So,
So they now dropped to the 10th seed.
mm,
And now we're going to pretend this was before today's games. Do you know what the difference between the fourth seed and the 10th seed was coming into the day?
A
game
fourth and
wise,
a 10 seed. Probably 2 games.
1.5 games.
Hmm.
That is, I mean, granted, it's a shortened season, and you never know how many teams are going to be able to make up games due to the pandemic and that.
Yeah.
But the Western Conference is so hard to pick because I can't say the Warriors are not going to make it. They just keep looking better and better, and I'm not going to bet against Curry. And
It looked crazy.
Port,
It looked incredible.
he's been looking great. Portland, even without CJ, Dame has him at the 7th seed right now. I'm
Hmm.
not betting against Dame.
Yeah, you got to stay healthy though, man. Putting all that miles on you, man, can really take its toll. You know what I mean? So I'm just hoping he can stay healthy through it all, and I want to see them. I want to see how far they can go because like you saw last year, they got to the eighth seed, and let's see what they can do this year. I'm excited to see. It's a lot of basketball left to go.
There's still a lot of basketball left to go. They're a little bit beat up, but if they can, stay in contention and put it together at the very end, maybe meet Utah, and we'll see how Utah
Mm.
is. I'd rather face
They don't
Utah
want to.
than the Lakers.
They don't want to see Utah though, man. Utah is on. They on a confident streak right now, man. They're looking like the most confident team in the NBA. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like just
And
watching them play, they don't look like they miss a beat at all.
it goes back to our last conversation about defense. I mean, they're one of the top defensive teams in the league. Depending on what statistic, defensive rating, I think right now they're third, and I think
Mm.
as I saw, Knicks were second, Lakers were first. So they're all right there in that, and obviously two of the three are having phenomenal seasons. But we'll see what Utah can do.
Yep.
I'm still not ready to get past last year's 3-1 blowing of the first round, and I mean they got a squad in Utah, but I'm not ready to still put them with the Clippers and the Lakers just yet in the
Mm.
West. So I would rather shoot for them, but back to the point on who's going to make it. I don't think Spurs have the talent. So here's a question I have for you.
Hmm.
Memphis, I don't believe Jerry Jackson has come back yet,
Yeah.
but they're still in the 6th seed and Phoenix is in the 5th seed.
Hmm.
Do you think 1, 0, or both of those teams will still be in the top 8 when the season ends?
I think Phoenix will still be in it. I don't know about Memphis though. I don't know. I don't know, man.
I finally get to say this. I disagree.
Hey, I like it. That's what the show's about, man. I love it because as the season goes on, we're gonna be able to see what's happening, man. You think Phoenix is not gonna make it in the playoffs at the end of this?
I would bet Memphis will be there before Phoenix. Um,
Mm.
Booker is a monster. Aiton has had his up and down this year, but has looked good at times. And
Mhm.
obviously, you have the ultimate floor general and Chris Paul. But just the way their season's been going, and it's been a lot of teams like that. But they started off; they were the best team in the league. They were like what 7-2 at one point, 8-2, and then went on a massive losing streak,
Mhm.
and then got to right around 500, and is now they're back up to like 11-8, 11-9, something like that.
Yep.
And I've seen enough of Phoenix, and I get it. They're getting better each year. I get it. Chris Paul is there, and he just having that leader and that veteran can right the ship when it goes wrong.
Yep.
But I've seen Phoenix fall out and fall apart so many times that until they prove me wrong, I'm not going to trust that they're going to be there. And I guess you can say the same thing about Memphis because they fell apart in the bubble last year. But John Morant looks like a man on a mission. I'm a little
Mm.
biased. And last time we saw Jared Jackson Jr., that man was a beast. They got
Okay.
the young rookie who's shooting ridiculous from three off the bench. They have some shooting. I'm going to say, and when it's all said and done, Memphis. If one of those teams aren't making it, I'm going to say Phoenix doesn't make it, and it's Memphis is sitting there.
Man, I mean, as long as Chris Paul can stay healthy, I think Phoenix will be pretty good. I'm gonna go back as far as just making the point that I made last week. X factors, man, and I think the X factor on Phoenix is Aiton. As long as Aiton can find out what he needs to do and be a consistent contributor every single game on the court, I think they can make the playoffs. I think it comes down to Aiton at the end of the day. He has to be efficient. He has to be able to give us a double double every single game, and then that way they can be contenders and get and stay in that playoff spot. But I think it can be done. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I had to say a duo for duo, uh I would say it would be Booker and Aiton, and I would say it would probably be like Valanciunas and Morant. And if I had my money on it, I'm going with Aiton and Booker, man, over Valanciunas and Morant. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Oh no way, it'd be Jared Jackson Jr. and Morant versus. I
Okay,
agree with Booker and
okay,
with Aiton, but
okay.
I'm taking
Of course you're
I'm
taking
taking
John,
Ja.
man. I know you are. I know.
I mean,
I'm
the
not mad
man,
though.
the he is just amazing to watch. Jared Jackson
He
Jr.
is.
He's a man on a mission and a beast on the court. And I don't know what I'm getting from Aiton. I mean,
Yeah.
he looked good last year, and surprisingly, he's looked a little bit lost at times. And with Chris Paul on your team who makes centers better, I mean, look
Hmm.
what he did to DeAndre Jordan. I I don't know. Well, that'll be a fun one to watch play out though, because to be honest, I'm not missing Memphis games or Phoenix games, which is something that 2 years ago I don't think I would have said. So
Yeah, I can agree, man. I think that there's only maybe one or two teams that you may like see a game on and not maybe not want to watch, but overall, man, every team is pretty good this year, and they all have like good pieces. I'm happy to see that. I never want to get to the point where I'm only watching like five teams because every other team is trash, and there's only like five good teams with key players on them. So I like that it's being spread out. Things like Chris Paul going to Phoenix and things. I mean, that helps the game. I feel like yeah, it's just broadening and making it interesting to watch every single team. So I'm excited, man. Like I said,
no,
there's a lot of basketball to play. I'm
and
excited.
I agree. And even if you look on the teams here, like Minnesota, probably not that interested in watching just because
I would watch him. I would
Cat.
still watch him. This
If Cat was playing more,
yeah.
yeah. With him not being there, and obviously I hope he gets better and best love and wishes to Cat.
Hmm.
Um, Not him being there, not as much fun to watch. But then you look
Yeah.
Pelicans, Zion,
Hmm.
Dallas, Luca,
Hmm.
Sacramento, Fox,
Hmm.
OKC, Shea,
Hmm.
Houston. We talked about the comeback kids.
Yep.
I mean, maybe the Spurs are the only other team really that
Yeah,
in the
Spurs
West
is
that
a
I
little
don't.
rough one, depending on who they playing. Yeah, I don't might not watch them either, man. They just, I mean, the Spurs always been that kind of team where they just like the real fundamental, slow tempo kind of game. But when you don't have players that you even want to enjoy watching in a slow tempo setting, it's like you just don't have the pieces. You don't have Tony Parker anymore. You don't have Manu Ginobili. You don't got Duncan. It's just you don't really have that core that you remember the Spurs being for being a great fundamental team. You got what's the Kawhi Leonard's gone. You know what I mean? If he was still on the team, I'm not gonna lie, they still be a great team to watch. But with Kawhi gone, it's like who are you really watching it for? I want to see DeMar DeRozan go. I want to see him actually get to the Lakers too, man. Let's make a trade happen. Let's get rid of Kuzma, man.
Who don't you want on the Lakers?
I want to just see us get a real prolific shooting guard. That's what we need, and I think that somebody like DeMar DeRozan be good. Let's get rid of Kuzma. You know, unfortunately, I like Kuz. You dress pretty cool, kid, but you know, you just don't. He doesn't really know his place in the team yet, and I don't think we really have a spot for him. And I think somebody like a DeMar DeRozan would be a good third option as far as the pickup to give us scoring pieces. And he plays decent defense. I mean, he's not the greatest defensive player, but when you're looking for offense opposed to offense, if you had to get a bucket, who you gonna ask for, DeMar Rosen or Kyle Kuzma? Let's be honest.
What's the score? Are you down by one, two, or three?
We down by three. Let's say that.
DeMar DeRozan's gotten better at three, but I still don't trust his 3 point shot. So Kuz will take on that one. Anything else, I'm taking
Mm.
DeMar. But no, I think Kuzma got he fell into the hype of his rookie year, being that late first round pick that won MVP of the summer league, was doing well his first year, and then when LeBron and everyone came to town, he just never really meshed with it. But I think
Mm.
you guys missed your window to trade him for top value. Could you get him for DeMar if it
I think
wasn't
so.
Pop running it? Maybe. I mean, Greg Popovich has never been known for making trades,
Well, I mean,
but
he just traded for DeMar, so we'll see.
well, that was more of a necessity because it was Kawhi Leonard was not playing anymore. So, but I can't outside that trade, I can't name one off the top of my head from the Spurs were really involved with in
Hmm.
years.
I mean, that's a good point. I must say that's a good point. I think that I mean, anything is possible when you're in a state of rebuild like the Spurs are. I think you can definitely get it done. I just don't know what it would ask for, what it would take, but Kuzma for DeMar DeRozan is not a bad option. You're getting a younger player, you're going to get a lot of years out of him. He's still young enough to be molded, and you can figure out what to do with him. And you can put him in a couple different positions. You can play. I mean, you can really play Kuzma anywhere from the 2 to the 4. You can play him at the shooting guard if you really wanted to. You can play him at the 3. You can play him at the 4.
Only problem with that is the money wouldn't work.
I don't know.
Uh,
Kuzma just signed an extension, so I don't. I mean, I don't know how much Demar's getting, but
Mars getting pretty or close to max money.
okay.
And he's I don't I'm almost I can fact check it, but I'm almost positive. Yeah, because Kuzma's still on his rookie deal.
No. We just signed an extension this year.
Yeah, but it's still not going to be near the money of what
I see
DeMar
what you're
DeRozan is
saying.
making.
Yeah, no,
So
probably not. I
and
think
you
it's like
guys are
35
all
mil
way
or
over the
something like that.
cap. So
It's like 3 years, 35 mil or something like that. You got him.
yeah, I mean, it could be done. It would just be. I'm trying to think. You'd have to. There'd be a couple players involved. You may, if you could get a 3-team or a 4-team in there to make it happen, but it, it's possible. I don't know. I don't see the Lakers being able to get a Kuzma for, or not Kuzma, get someone of DeMar DeRozan's contract,
Hmm.
but you never know. I've been proven wrong many times with trades
But me
in
too.
a
I
lot of
proved,
different
I proved, I
sports.
proved you wrong a lot of times already, man. We only second episode in, and I done proved you wrong. So we're gonna keep that ball rolling.
You ain't never proved me wrong. All
We
right,
go-
but okay, so
okay.
we're 2 teams in the Western Conference that probably wouldn't be the most watchable, but everyone else somebody we want to watch. Let's
Hmm.
go to the Eastern Conference and kind of have that same question. Who do you think is there an odd man out currently, or do you think the standings stay pat and 1 through 8 are the ones who make the playoffs in the
That's a good
East?
question. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up here. I just want to see what teams are actually in the standings right now and what teams I think are next not going to make it. So give me one moment. Let me pull it up here. Let's see what we got here. So as we already see, the Pistons. I feel like the only 2 teams that are out of it are probably not going to make it. To be totally honest with you, I see 2 teams. That's pretty much the Pistons and the Wizards. I think every other team has the potential to get to the playoffs. Um, you got the Raptors who are number 10. I mean, they would need maybe 2 games to get into it. The Bulls, they are like 8 and 12. Y'all might be the third option that I see just not making it, but you never know. Um, Even the Magic are kind of close. I mean, they're number 12, but they're not super far behind the number 8 seed. I don't really see them making too much of a run for it. But the Miami Heat is that team. I know they're number 13 right now, but they're the ones I can see making some kind of run for it and squeeze into that playoff spot. I don't think the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to stay in the top 8, and I don't know if the Hornets are either, man, just because they're so young. I think when it's all said and done, the Raptors and maybe the Heat are going to find a way to squeeze in those 2 spots, 7 and 8. But I think 1 to 6 are going to be continuous. Like they're going to make it to the playoffs. So 76ers, the Bucks, the Nets, the Celtics, the Pacers, and the Atlanta Hawks are all going to be the ones you're going to see definitely in the playoff run.
1 through 6, I agree.
Hmm.
And Toronto, I have them kicking out. My guess is Cleveland.
Okay.
Um, I I think Charlotte has a chance.
Okay.
Um, Ball has been he's been playing well. They've gotten a lot from a lot of different people in there. Bridges is always getting it's almost every time they play, my phone goes off with a highlight, or you see on the recap, it's him going up for a dunk, or he the kid the kid's been playing well. Bridges has been playing very well. Gordon Hayward is showing people why a lot of teams wanted him when he was back in Utah.
You think he
Why
deserved that
he went to
max?
Boston. What's up?
You think he deserved that max?
Yeah, I do.
Really? I don't think he's been playing that good, but that's a story for that's another topic for a different day. I don't think he's been playing that good.
My point behind or the reason why is who else were you going to spend that money on?
True.
And I mean, I know both of them weren't each other's first option, but it's been working out. Obviously, Charlotte's in the 8th seed right now,
Hmm.
and he's had some really good games, and he's showing that he can still be a number 1 option. Now they're
Hmm.
not contenders, don't get me wrong, but to make the playoffs and actually get back to pretty much exactly where they were after they traded Kemba,
Hmm.
that 7th 8th seed part.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I believe enough in Miami right now.
Mm.
And we kind of touched on it earlier. Jimmy Butler has only played 8 games. who we don't know what's going on with that. Tyler Hero hasn't been as good. Duncan Robinson hasn't been as good. Bam's still been Bam, but we
Hmm.
expected that. The Dragon hasn't been as great, and I think last year's environment was set up perfect for a tough team like Miami to make that run
Hmm.
in the playoffs. And I don't know if I see them being able to put together. I don't. I wouldn't bet that they're going to jump up to actually hit it. They'll be in contention.
Okay.
They'll pass Orlando. They'll pass my Bulls,
Hmm.
and they'll probably pass the Knicks. But I don't think they'll be able to beat out Charlotte or Cleveland. And I don't know that when it comes to they have to beat them twice in back-to-back nights. Because they only get the ninth seed and you have to beat them twice.
Hmm.
If it's Cleveland, okay, I can probably see it, but I think they'll be out already. If it's
Hmm.
Toronto, no. Uh, Spicy P started getting his act together. We just saw Fred VanVleet drop what 50,
That boy dropped
3,
54, man. He dropped 54
54.
three-pointers, man. That's incredible.
So I mean, he's getting his stuff going back, and
Got the
you're starting to
ceiling.
see Toronto get it together. And I don't know if I see them beating Charlotte back to back if they had to. So I think the it's going to end with probably Charlotte still at the 8, Toronto at the 7, and then you know the rest I think will actually stay pretty pat.
Okay, I'm not mad at that, man. You forgot to mention one player for the Hornets, man. Malik Monk looks really good. He's been balling out lately, man. I must say that young boy has been doing his thing. The last couple of games I've been watching him. I'm like, man, he's looking like he's got some potential there. I must say, man, Malik Monk has been looking pretty good.
I left him out for a reason. No, he's up, average about
I
10 points
left
a
him out
game.
for a reason. I'm just talking about the last couple of games. I'm not talking about the whole season, but I know the last time I watched him, and man, he was looking pretty good. I was like, okay, Malik Monk. Let me find out, man.
He Malik Monk surprises me because, and I don't know if you watched him when he was at Kentucky with Fox,
No, no, I didn't watch him. No, I
but
watched college ball too much.
he was a pure scorer. I mean, he could
Okay.
hit every shot, and I kind of expected that to translate. I don't know if it's
Mm,
just him playing in Charlotte, who he's played with, what it's been, but I expected to see a lot more of him, at least being a scorer. Not to say I thought he was going to be like a Lou Gold type, but I thought he could be like a Lou Gold type, that six man that can come off and just go
mm.
score. But you never know. There's still time. I mean, they're still a young kid. You never really know.
Yeah, he's
Um,
definitely still young.
but
One of the last topics did want to touch on. I don't know if you had anything else that you wanted to speak upon, but I did want to get your thoughts on the Dennis Smith Jr. requesting to be sent to the G League. Man, I thought that was pretty interesting. You don't really see that too often. Players that are not getting the playing time they feel they deserve, or the amount of attention that they feel they deserve, requesting to go down to the G League. That way they can get a little more experience, a couple of games in, and you know what I mean, and keep the sword sharp. What are your thoughts on that? That's pretty interesting to me.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Tibbs is known to not go deep in his bench. There's a reason why I think he has two of the top three players averaging the most minutes on his team. That's always been his style. So if Dennis Smith Jr. wants to play, that's probably going to be his best option.
Mm,
And I think a lot of it has to do with the new G League. I'm trying to think of the team's name, but pretty much college for G League. Where if you don't want to go to college, you can go play. I think it's called Unite. It's called
hmm.
Unite, but
Okay.
their bubble's about to start here in the next couple of days, I believe.
Okay.
And but long story short, there's no stigma to it as much anymore. And like you said, you want to keep the sword sharp. That's how you got to do it. Go down, play. A lot of teams are going to watch. The Ignite team is going to get a lot more eyes on it because of teams recruiting these young stars like your Jalen Green, your Kamingas. So go down there, ball out, get your minutes, get your playing time, work on your craft.
Hmm.
And I don't see him being there very long. And he is a player I do see being dealt before the deadline.
Okay, I'm not mad at that, man. Like I said, for me, I thought it showed a lot of his character as far as him wanting to just play the game. You know what I mean? What's the sense of me sitting here on the end of the bench not getting any minutes when I know I'm a useful player and I can actually ball out and I can be on a team that I can contribute to? Let me go in the G League and let me show some of my experience and let me still stay, just stay sharp. I don't want to become complacent. I'm not mad at it. It's not a bad option. I'm just kind of surprised to see it because you don't see it as often. But like you said, it is something that's not really frowned upon, maybe as much as it was a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. It is something that you see a lot of players rising from and coming into the NBA from the G League. So that's pretty awesome.
I want to see a lot more of it. I mean, look at what Fred VanVleet came from the G League.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Seth Curry came from the G League. Spencer Dinwiddie bounced around teams, and he didn't really get a chance until down in the G League because people were seeing the talent that was there. Um, and if you look at other sports like Major League Baseball, how many times is there a player that comes off an injury or just in a slump, goes down the G League, gets his confidence back up, and then comes back up to the majors and goes?
Mm,
I would love to see that with the NBA. I would love to
me too.
see like these bench players, like you said, with Dennis Smith sitting on the bench, go down, play, work on your craft, get the minutes, get the repetition, and then come back up and give it a shot.
Not mad. I'm not mad at all. One last question. I don't know if you have any more, but I do have just one last one for you. Do you think there's a spot or a space for a team to pick up a player like a Isaiah Thomas, who's had a couple of years off, was once known to be a scorer and be able to contribute to a team? Do you think there's a space for him now that he's a little bit older and the teams have gone in a different direction as far as scoring capabilities and the ways that they match up and how they kind of use players and utilize them in today's game?
There's a place for somebody who can put the ball in the hoop. Isaiah Thomas can still walk out and score. He did it when he was with the Wizards, which was his last team. I
Mhm.
know there's more talks that Zach LaVine wanted him to come to Chicago.
Mm.
Please don't. We don't play defense as is. I don't want another guy that can't play defense. So please don't. But a team that just needs that scoring punch off the bench. I mean, even take somebody like the Clippers, have him come out and just go score. So I think there'll be a place for him. I'm kind of surprised that he's not on a team,
Me too.
um, just because of how he did with Washington his last time out. But I mean, short king stand up, man. He pulls out, and he what was it 2015 when he was in the running for MVP. I
Hmm.
mean, his last year at Boston, just the dude can score. So yes, I do think there is always going to be a place for people in the league that can put the ball in the hoop.
All right, man. I mean, I'm not mad at you on that one. I think he can definitely still score. He's still young, got some youth left in him, got some game left in him. I'm sure he's been practicing it. I mean, he is like 30, he's like 31 or something like that, probably 30, 31. How old do you think he is? About 31 or something, right? Your mic is on mute, just so you know. I don't know if you know your mic was
Oh,
muted, but
I thought he. Sorry, I
I'm
think
about
he
to say,
may
I think
be
he's like
33,
31, right?
34, but
Really? He's that old? I didn't think he was. Okay.
I thought he was older, and I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but
Yeah, I thought he was like 31 or so. But the point I was just trying to make is that he still got some game left in him. I am surprised he's not on the team because there are players that I've seen. I'm like, he can definitely play over this player that I'm looking at on the court. But needless to say, we'll see how it goes, man. Did you have any other topics you want to talk about before we get up out of here?
last thing I want to bring up, and just be real quick, because
Hmm.
you and I kind of disagreed on this a little bit.
Okay.
What do you think of Clay Thompson calling out Pistons player for coming over after the game and getting in some faces?
See, I didn't have a problem with you making a comment on it. I just thought the comment that was made was a little distasteful. I felt like we already know that if you retired today, you'd be a Hall of Fame player. You're one of the best shooters ever. So for you to make a comment like that as far as just on the up and coming kid who's just doing what he's supposed to do and defending his team, you know what I mean, and stepping up for one of his players, I don't think that you should have made that comment to say, he's just mad because he's gonna be out of the NBA tomorrow. Like I just think that's a little bit of a cheap shot. Like, okay, we get it that you, like I said, you're a Hall of Famer, and he's still an up and coming kid. Not that old. He's like 27 or 28. He's not that old of a kid, but he's older than that. Oh, I thought he was like 28. Okay, even if he's 29 or 30, still, I mean, he still got some time left in him to be able to figure it out. But I mean, to make that comment, just felt like it was a little distasteful. That's all.
Was it in a little bit of bad taste? Probably. I don't go up after the game and go get into somebody's face, especially if you're a guy who's barely Clay Thompson wasn't wrong. This guy's barely been in the league. He's barely playing. He's almost 30 and has, 4 years of experience. He's not, it's not like he's balling out. And he had a good night that night. I think he almost went perfect from the field, had like 7 points in about 6 minutes played. But that's not your role. You, Magruder, that is not your role. And I like standing up for your team on the court. Do it on the court. Show some backbone on the court. I don't like when players go after the game, after people are heading back to the locker room, then they want to go get in somebody's face. No, don't do it on the court. I get it, you weren't on there very long, but like it's the same thing a few weeks ago with the Pistons as well when it was Giannis and his brother went down and was trying to get in the face of I'm gonna draw a blank on this rookie's name again. I want to say it was Wayne Ellington. I
Mm.
think it was no, it wasn't Wayne Ellington. Sorry, it
Was
was
Wayne Ellington a rookie? I didn't even know he was
no,
a
it wasn't
rookie.
Wayne Ellington. Oh, Isaiah Stewart. Duh.
Okay.
Isaiah Stewart. He went down and got in his face because he got rough and went at Giannis. Stewart did it on the court. He was very aggressive with them, and when Giannis and them came in, walked down and got in his face, he stood his ground. And Stewart's a big guy. He is jacked. I'm not messing with him. But that's my mindset because Stewart knew they're not going to do anything. They're not going to take a swing at him. They're not going to get in this. They're not going to really do anything. And it's the same thing that Draymond Green said in the press conference. Everyone wants to be an enforcer now, but no one's going to do it. We are far from the days where, I mean, Shaq punched Charles Barkley in the face during the game for getting, too aggressive and trying to stand up for his man. No one's doing that nowadays. And I'm not trying to fit into the mouse in the palace, but not everyone's a tough guy. You're
True.
like,
Everybody's a tough guy. I agree. But I mean, there's a time to stand up for your team, though. I don't care if you're a tough guy or not. The right thing to do is if you feel like your player is being mishandled or in some kind of harm's way in any way, you're supposed to stand up, man. That's how you're supposed to do. And
yeah,
that's
but
what.
you stand up there. You don't. I don't like when you wait to the end of the game and go, you're blah 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 blah. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing Clay was doing. Then he was standing up for his guy, and
Mhm.
I mean, it was funny, and I kind
It
of wanted
was
to see
funny.
him.
It was funny. I'm not gonna lie, but I just felt like, come on, man. You don't got to make that comment, man. We get it.
I just like Draymond's comments. Who's afraid of
Yeah,
Rodney? There ain't
he
no one
having
afraid of
fun.
anyone named Rodney.
That's funny, man. I mean, yeah. I mean, to me, I don't know. I don't even feel like I don't really don't feel like Drake. I mean, Draymond is a physical guy as far as on the court, but I don't really know Draymond to be no tough guy either. So it just is what it is. But
Oh, Draymond's a tough guy. Draymond,
I hear
we
you.
Draymond's gotten many people's face, including his own teammates, Kevin Durant, on the court, in the locker room, on the court again later. So, like Draymond Green, I would consider an enforcer because he's bringing that energy. Montrezl Harrell back in the day, well, even still now.
Back in the day, he's like
Obviously,
26.
okay, true, but younger Montrez.
I see what you're saying.
I'm gonna forget the guy's real name, the Manimal that was with Denver years ago, Kent Fareed. I mean, those are guys that they would get in your face on the court and go at it. But hey, let me know in the comments who's right, who's wrong. Did you love Klay Thompson doing it? Did you not? Don't forget to leave a like.
Definitely, man. Feel free to subscribe to the channel as well. We appreciate everybody who came out so far, showed that support and left comments, and we appreciate everybody who came out and viewed us. Feel free to go on to C&T Sports, check us out. My man Ty, you want to end us off with anything else?
Plug your other channel, man. Plug, plug,
Listen,
plug.
man, of course, like I said, my name is Kier Scott, also known as Chris Warren. And you can check me out on the No Script podcast, man. Well, I have a bunch of different dope guests come out. I just, talk about all different kind of topics as far as what they do. So feel free to check me out there as well, man. It's always a pleasure to sit down with my guy Ty, talk about basketball. We'll be bringing more out to you guys. So feel free to again subscribe, leave comments, let us know who you agree with and who you disagree with. And again, I thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time.